followers. I'm sorry I forgot to hit the live button. But today is going to be our book club meeting on the 11th of the month. It's 11 a.m. And I was just telling everyone else on my other channels that I've been up since about 4 something this morning. And I kept telling God to just slow the time down because I love just sitting and just dwelling with them. And even when 5:30 came around and then 6:30 came around, I literally just kept telling God, please, can you just slow the timing down just a little bit because I just want more time in your presence. I know I haven't been live for quite a while, you all. I've been offline for several weeks. There's some times where you have to really sit and be still so that when you do show up and give, like I pray how I'm about to give to you all now, it comes out of the overflow, and you're not giving from an empty place. So everyone have their book. You all let me know yes or no if you have necessary and if you're ready for us to start on Chapter 6, we're going to be talking about strange favor. This is going to be a good one. And I'm praying to God that this breaks fear off of your life. The enemy has just been really busy lately, you all. I've never seen so much fear in the atmosphere and so many people walking around in confusion or the enemy just having a really good time making you feel that God has forgotten about you or that the dreams are delayed. And I just pray to God that by the time we're done with this discussion today, that your hearts have been moved. So you all, let's turn to Strange Favor, which is chapter 6 on page 72. Again, you all should already have a copy if necessary. You all let me know, as Coco says she got hers. So let me start off by asking this. And Shamaka Kamran, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. It's a beautiful name. She said, thank you for inviting me. You are so welcome. Let me start off by asking you all, what did you think about this chapter? Is there anything in this chapter on strange favor that really stood out to you? You all can just put that in the comment section. Allison says, I need my book, please. Allison, I have a few more left. I have about 20, maybe 20 or 21 left. So you can go to unlockinggreatness.com and you can get an autographed copy. You can order it there or you can get it on Amazon or some other place. And the audiobook is available directly on my website at unlockinggreatness.com. I have my audiobook as a pay what you want. But you all, let me see some comments here. Pauline says, I love your teachings. Thank you, Pauline. I think someone says that theirs is in the mail. Anyone else? I want to know your comments. For those of you all who have read Necessary, and if you're ready to discuss chapter 6 on strange favor, page 72, I'm going to turn there now. I want you all to let me know, what did you get out of this so far? I've heard from people from all around the world, and I'm just grateful to God, to be very honest with you all, because I can't take credit for this book because every single thing that was written in this book was written in the spirit. And many of you all know I've told the story a lot. God woke me up in the middle of the night at about 3 a.m. years ago and told me that I was going to write a book called Necessary. And he showed me the cover and he said it's going to change lives all over the world. And I did not know he was going to have me live through it. So everything in this book came in the spirit. Someone says, my favorite book. Thank you so much. Sweet TV says the chapter was so interesting. And then there was a question mark. Does suffering actually lead to glory? That's a good one. Let's talk about it. So if any other comments here, you all let me know. What did you think about strange favor? I'll just read a little bit just so we can get started with the discussion. And let's take some time to lift each other up and encourage each other with everything that we may be going through in life right now. So I'll start off by reading the affirmation. Thank you, Caribbean. The affirmation is called Strange Favor, and it says, you may not be able to see it right now, but I'm still a work in progress. But the favor of God is all over my life. It may not look like favor to you because you don't see the expected end, but just keep watching. Watch and see what God does. Watch and see him turn everything around for my good. Don't mistake my statement as pride. And please don't mistake my faith as wishful thinking. Just keep watching. And one day you will see the favor of God has never left me. Now, what many people don't know, when I wrote that affirmation, which starts the chapter off, I wasn't feeling favor at all. Did you all catch that? When I wrote this, for those of you who've been following my podcast for a while or maybe been a part of Unlocking Greatness, you already know the story. When I wrote this, This was on the cuffs of coming in and out of the hospital day in and day out, dealing with my son, who unfortunately is no longer with us. This was going through, thinking through everything that I'd went through in terms of with my marriage and the finances, and I wasn't feeling any of that at all. But because God showed me in the spirit, this is strange favor that I'm showing to you. There's some oil that's going to come out of this. He had me write this affirmation, but when I wrote that affirmation, I wasn't feeling it in the moment. That's why I said it may not look like favor to you because you don't see the expected end, but just keep watching. Watch and see what God does. Watch him turn everything around for my good. Are you all catching that? My mother taught me before she passed away, and we're going to read some more from this. My mother taught me before she passed away, she says, baby, the secret in life is to praise God in the middle of the storms. And I'll never forget, I was telling my mom, and this is when she was literally just, I would say days away from passing away. I says, Mama, it doesn't feel like favor to me, and I'm praising God, but in the morning, everything is still looking the same. And now I get it, what she was telling me. She says, baby, praising God in the storm, that's your way through it. And I said, but Mama, and she would say, joy comes in the morning. I would say, but Mama, it is the morning, and I don't see the joy. And I didn't realize I was taking the next morning literally as the next morning. But what I wasn't realizing that what she was referring to is the next season in your life, almost like the graduation, almost like what's going to come from it. So what you all are seeing right now, just this overflow that you're seeing come from me right now, this is the fruit from going through the seasons that we talked about in this book. Someone says, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you, Judy. So happy to see you as well. Let's read a little bit. Let's go to chapter 6. You all there? Let me know if you're ready. If you all have page 72 open. You all say yes or no that you have your book ready. Val says this chapter reminds me that God is intentional. Val, you can say that again. You can say that again. Do you all have your book ready? Okay. All right. Make sure you have your book open to page 72. We're going to read a little bit from Strange Favor. Sometimes favor doesn't look like favor at all. When my life was falling apart and everything seemed to be spinning out of control, there was nowhere in the world you could have convinced me that God was showing me favor. What kind of strange favor is that? How can anyone in their right mind call that favor? Especially when you're going through the storms and don't feel his presence at all. Favor should come wrapped with pretty bows and fall from the sky like an angel bringing you a personal delivery from God. Am I right? Favor shouldn't look like trouble. Favor shouldn't look like pain or discomfort. Favor shouldn't look like times of uncertainty and attacks from the enemy. Favor shouldn't accompany tears or hardships. That's not favor. Or is it? Is it possible that this strange favor from God has a greater purpose in our lives that many of us simply cannot see during our storms? Judy says, I got to that point, and yes, it was favor wrapped up in tears. You better say it, Judy. You better say it. Is it possible that whatever you're going through right now, the strange favor of God is powerfully at work in your life, moving you, strengthening you, making you wiser, teaching you to persevere, positioning you for new territory, taking away what is no longer needed for the next season in your life, building your character, and shaping you to become a light for others? Could it be possible? Now, I want you all to think through, as I was writing this, it's not as if all those storms had already passed me by. Thank you, Keisha, for that. Thank you so much. So you all have to understand, with God waking me up at 3 a.m. consistently and having me write this, half of what I was writing, I was going through it even in that moment. So let's keep reading. So someone says just being able to walk and pray to God is favor. That's right. I agree with you. All right, you all turn over to page 73. I was greatly moved by the story of Joseph in the Bible, because he went through nearly all the stages I just listed, and at every point in the Bible teaches us that the Lord was with him and he was greatly favored by God. Now, how many of you all know the story of Joseph? Put something in the comments and let me know, because this is not a one-way conversation. Wanda says your words are so profound. Thank you so much. How many of you all know about the story of Joseph? Who can tell me something about Joseph? Let me see something in the comments here. You all are not sitting here just to watch me. We're going to have a family talk back and forth so we all can grow a little bit, because I'm about to talk a little bit about Joseph. Let me see. Does anyone know a little something about Joseph? You all, it's very important that you know the word. Okay, someone says, I don't know about Joseph. I appreciate your honesty. You're going to learn a little bit about him in a minute. Someone says, truly simply not knowing his favor if you really look at it. Anyone know anything about Joseph? Someone says, not so familiar. Interesting, okay. Anyone else? Anyone know anything about Joseph and why I'm bringing him up? Caribbean says, Joseph is really a great example, sent by hatred but under God's direction. Okay, Caribbean, you know a couple things. All right. Octavia says, powerful story. His story became a setup. Tina says, I'm open to learn. Okay, Tina, we're going to talk about Joseph in just a minute. I'm trying to read these comments here. Joseph was sold by his brother, Marvelli said. He was betrayed by his brother, someone else said. Anyone else know anything about Joseph? Lawla says, appointed in the house of Pharaoh. Okay, let's read a little bit. So for those of you who are just joining me, on the 11th of the month at 11 a.m., I have a brief book club meeting to discuss a little bit from my book, Necessary. And today we're going over chapter 6. We're talking about strange favor. And the whole purpose of that title is sometimes the favor that comes from God doesn't look like favor at all. And now we're about to go on a little bit and talk about Joseph. So I'm on page 73. I often ask myself, how on earth could the Lord be with Joseph and not immediately rescue him from his troubles? How can the Bible teach us the Lord was with him when he was treated so unfairly and endured hardships for years? I just couldn't understand how the loving God we serve could sit with us and wipe away our tears, yet not fix the problem when he has the ability to do so at that very moment. If you love someone and you're able to do so, wouldn't you want to immediately take away their pain and discomfort? Those were my thoughts when I was unable to recognize the strange favor God showed Joseph. At first glance, I could not see any favor because it was not wrapped with ribbons and bows. It was wrapped in his suffering. Let's visit the life of Joseph and explore a biblical example of this strange favor that our good Father gives us to prepare us for greater blessings in new territory. I love the story of Joseph in Genesis chapters 37 through 45, because not only does his life serve as a blueprint to understanding the strange favor of God, his life also gives a beautiful meaning to the passage, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And that's in Isaiah 54:17. Someone write that down, Isaiah 54:17. In case you're not familiar with his story, here's a brief recap. Let's talk a little bit about Joseph. Let me read a comment really quickly. Camel says Joseph was sold by his brother and went to prison for 21 years before he became the governor. Christmas says Joseph was in a season of preparation for what was to come. So I'm on page 73. For those of you who are joining, we're reading a little bit from my book, Necessary. This chapter is titled Strange Favor. Joseph had a dream that he would reign over his brothers. His brothers hated him and were very angry about that dream. They betrayed Joseph and devised a plot to throw him into a cistern. When they saw Midianite merchants, they pulled him out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites. The merchants eventually took Joseph all the way to Egypt, where he was then sold to one of Pharaoh's officials called Potiphar, and that's Genesis 37. Let's pause 1 second on that. So this man has a dream, right? His brothers get jealous of the dream, because in this dream, basically he's looked at being, let's just say, a big shot, right? And his brothers got very jealous. And can you imagine, they threw him into a cistern, almost like a deep pit of some sort. And then some people came along, and his very brothers are the ones that sold him. And so somehow he ended up in Egypt, where he was sold to one of Pharaoh's officials called Potiphar, and that was in Genesis 37. So now we're on the subject of strange favor, so y'all keep that in mind, because that's a horrible thing to happen, but let's just see what happened. While in Potiphar's house, the Lord gave him success, and that's a quote. The Lord gave him success in everything he did. Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. So that's in Genesis 39, verse 3 through 4. Can someone write that in the comment? Genesis 39, someone write that passage in there. Verse 3 through 4. And that's a beautiful story to read all that happened up until that point. Even though Joseph was stripped away from his family and sold by his own brothers, the Lord gave him success in everything he did. By this point, I would think he has been through enough. God showed him favor despite his family betrayal. He now had a great job, and in my humble opinion, he should have been left alone to live a happy life. But let's examine how God continued to give him more of this strange favor. Now, before I go on, does anyone know what happened when Joseph was in Potiphar's house? So here this man is. I want you all to think about this. He had a dream. His brothers got jealous, threw him in a cistern, and then turned around and sold him. He ends up being sold to somebody in Egypt, right? The Lord showed favor on him. So even in all of that mess, he still rose to a high position. So you would think at this point, okay, that's enough. The man has been through enough. God, just leave a man alone and let him just ride off into the mountains happily ever after. But does anyone know what happened when he was in Potiphar's house? Thank you, Sharon, for putting that passage in there. Thank you, Debbie, for putting that passage in there. I appreciate it. Does anyone know what happened? Caribbean said he was rejected for her advances. Yes. The wife wanted him, and he's basically like, I'm a man of God. I'm not going to do that. Eugene said he had to flee Potiphar's wife. Ernika says yes. Then the king's wife lied on him. You all are getting it. So let's read on and let me see what I wrote here. I'm on page 74 from Strange Favor. Let's see how this strange favor from God was packaged in Joseph's life. If you continue reading Genesis in chapter 39, you would discover that Joseph was a handsome man and Potiphar's wife was attracted to him. Here we go. She asked him to sleep with her, but he denied her. Despite her many attempts to seduce him, he refused her because he was an honorable man. So what did she do? She lied and said he tried to sleep with her. By the time you get to verse 20, you will find that he was thrown in prison as a result of her lies and betrayal. How is it possible to have already gone through a traumatic situation? I want you all to think about your lives right now. And especially for some of you who has been one thing after the other. Because there are some seasons in life where it seems like the pressure doesn't let up. Or am I the only one that's gone through those seasons? You all can let me know. In fact, if there's some people right now, going through some things, you should share this live with them, because what we're about to talk about now is about to get really deep. Has anyone had any experience where you've been doing your best, trying your best to give, to serve, to help, to do what's right? And you go through this season where it seems like just when you get your footing, Caribbean says pressure never left, something else seems to happen. And you weren't even trying to do anything wrong that time, right? Anyone else can relate to this? Octavia says going through some things for a few years now. Okay, Auntie VM, I'll just say, said yes, absolutely. Okay, so that doesn't seem like favor to me, does it? Tina says yes, amen. That doesn't seem like favor, am I right? The man was actually trying to do what was right. So why on earth, y'all, let's go deep with it. I've been up since 4-something this morning, just sitting in the presence of God. So if I'm talking too long and you guys got something else to do, just go ahead and do whatever and maybe come back and find the video on YouTube or Instagram. But I really want us to focus on this, you all, because the world is really hurting. People are going through a lot right now. I just had a live workshop session yesterday with many members inside of Unlocking Greatness. And it's absolutely amazing what people are going through from all around the world. You all, we have to get this concept. It's more than a concept. We have to get this understanding. If we belong to God and we are a people of God, and he allows us to go through these difficult seasons. What is really happening? And is it possible that God is still moving on our behalf even when we don't see it? You all, we have to open our eyes and begin to see this, because in these seasons that we're in right now, you all, if we don't get grounded and know that through it all and in it all, God is with us and his masterful plan is at work, we can easily go off on the deep end. And I believe that's why it's very important that God had me reading Strange Favor. That's the chapter we're focusing on today. So my question is, let me just read a few more comments. Auntie says, but it is favor because you got to go through something to remind us to lean on God. So Strange Favor, we're on page 74. Where was I at? For those who are just joining, we're talking about all of the things that Joseph went through. But we're looking at how the passage just keeps telling us that the strange favor of God was with him all along. And I was having an issue with this because I personally didn't see, why not just leave a man alone? He's been through enough. So he didn't sleep with the man's wife, and yet she lied on him, and he ended up in jail. So on page 74, it says, how is it possible to have already gone through a traumatic situation, finally gotten situated, and then without warning, you are unfairly treated and repositioned once again? That certainly doesn't look like favor to me. Yet the Bible tells us, and I quote, while Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him, my God. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in prison. That's Genesis 39, 20 through 22. Can someone write that passage down for me, please, so someone else can read it later? Genesis 39, verse 20 through 22. So we have to pause just for a moment on that one, you all. Octavia says, in the midst of it all, I still feel the presence of God. Amen. Octavia, there's been times in my life where in the midst of it all, I didn't feel the presence of God. Sometimes you don't feel the presence of God. Maybe it's just me. When I was going through all those tough seasons, and I mean, this was a moment when it was hitting me back to back to back, like I couldn't even catch a breath. It just boom, 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 kept going. The finances, the marriage, my son in the hospital, then him unexpectedly passing away. It was just betrayal from a friend. It just would not let up. And that's why at the end of this book, and I'm not going to go through that particular chapter, there's a point in there when I was sitting in a room and I saw a vision in the spirit, and where Jesus was like visiting me, but I didn't even want him to touch me. I didn't want to hug him. I didn't want to hold him, but I said, I have no one else to turn to. You're all I have. But I literally just, where were you? I don't even feel your presence. So sometimes we go through seasons where we don't even feel the presence of God, especially when we've been praying for something for so long. And God still answers with a no. And that's a whole nother chapter inside of my book, Necessary. There's a chapter titled, When God Says No. That's actually a really good one to read, you all. And the whole point of that chapter is, when God says no, can he still be your God? I know it's easy to say yes to that if you're not going through much. That chapter was written just after my son unexpectedly passed away, as I was finishing up writing Necessary. And God says, now I want you to write a chapter. When the answer is no, can I still be your God? Can he still be your God even when the answer is no? Even when you don't get what you want? Let's keep reading. We're reading through Strange Favor. Holy Spirit, take over, God. This is your meeting, not mine. I don't go in my own strength, God. These are your people. Just use me as your vessel. Touch their hearts, God. They love you. Some of them are barely holding on. God, touch them. Help them to know that even in their difficult seasons right now, your strange favor is at work. Move in their hearts, God. Even if it's only one person listening to me right now. Please touch them. Please put your loving arms around them. And let them know that you're still at work, God, even in the dry seasons. Even in the cisterns, even in the dungeons, you're still with them. Oh my God, in Jesus' name. So we're reading from Strange Favor for those who are just joining. We're on page 75. And now we just read about Joseph. Joseph had a dream. His brothers got jealous, threw him in a cistern, sold him. He ended up in Egypt. Then God raised him up. He ended up in Potiphar's house. That's good news. Got a good job, doing well. Looked like he was next in command. Potiphar's wife wanted to sleep with him. Joseph like, I'm not doing that. I'm a man of God. That's not going to happen. So he's trying to do what's right. And when you know it, wow, that season didn't last too long because he was in prison now. But yet the Bible is telling us that God was still with him. And there's an easy temptation to feel, well, God, if you're with him, then why is he in prison? If you with him, why would you lead him there in the first place? You, God, you're able to do anything you want. So why can't it just be all good? Why would you direct him in that direction? And some of you, and it could be just one person on this line. I'm okay if only one person is impacted by this. It could be just one person who is just 2 steps from just giving up, that needs to hear what's being said right now, because you may not even be aware of the calling on your life, the anointing and the grace that's on your life, the amount of people that you are going to impact when you come out of this season. You may not even be aware that God is allowing you to go through this season for a reason. All right, Strange Favor, page 75. Let's keep reading. So Joseph is thrown in prison. The Bible is teaching us, so the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in prison. Okay, so that's interesting. So even in prison, God still promoted him. What kind of strange favor was that? That favor led him to being betrayed by his family. Favor shouldn't look like family members turning their backs on you. That favor led him to jail. Favor shouldn't look like being blamed for something you didn't do, right? I think it's great that God granted Joseph favor with the ward, but he was still in jail against his wishes. Does that look like favor to you? Someone is saying, Lord, have mercy on us. We're going to be okay, Lillian. Does that look like favor to you? And can you in any way relate to this scenario? Let's keep unpacking this strange looking gift and see what God had inside. Later in Genesis chapter 40, while Joseph was in prison, he interpreted a dream for another prisoner, the former cupbearer for the king. The cupbearer was very grateful for Joseph's insight. When the cupbearer was later released, Joseph asked that he please remember him. And wouldn't you know it? The cupbearer completely forgot about Joseph. So let's pause again, because somebody can relate to this. So even in that down season, Joseph was still trying to do what was right. Blossom says it feels so heavy. Even in a down season, Joseph was still trying to do what was right. And when you know it, anybody ever been in a down season and you still giving and helping other people even in that down season? Or am I the only one that's been in those seasons like that? Right? Still giving and helping. All Joseph said to the man that he was helping is, can you help me? Someone says, yes, I have. That's all Joseph said. Can you help me? He said to the cupbearer, so when you get out of this, hold on, you all, if you're doing comments, I've got a scroll. I'm sorry, you all. I didn't realize my scroll wasn't going. Campbell says Joseph went through a lot, but yet he's still focused on God. Auntie says, absolutely. That's all Joseph said is, I'm not asking for much. I'm already in a low place, and I'm going to help you. And he helped the cupbearer with, I think he was interpreting his dream or doing something, right? And all he said is, when you get out of here, can you just lend me a helping hand and help me? So let's see what happened. The cupbearer completely forgot about him. So let's think about this for a moment. You're already in a place where you have no desire to be. You're betrayed by your family and by a person who lied on you. Then you try to help someone who is in jail with you, and your only request is for them to remember you. But the moment they don't need you anymore, they forget about you. In fact, they went on to live their lives and forgot everything you did to help them. Can anyone relate to this? Can anyone relate? The powerful part of this season in Joseph's life is that according to the Bible, even during those times, the Lord was with Joseph and granted him favor with others. My God. For those of you just joining, I'm reading from my book, Necessary, and I'm reading the chapter on strange favor. Nearly 2 years later, you all, 2 years is a long time. Nearly 2 years later, yes, a long 2 years, while Joseph was still in jail, Pharaoh had a dream and needed someone to interpret it. But no one was powerful and wise enough to interpret the dream. That's Genesis 41, verse 8. Can someone put that in the comment? Genesis 41, verse 8. Type that in real quickly. Then wouldn't you know it, the cupbearer all of a sudden remembered Joseph and recommended him. Finally, in the Lord's timing, might I say, they sent for Joseph to be released from prison to help the king. Surely favor shouldn't look like helping someone only for them to completely forget about you for years, by the way, until they need something from you again. But let's see how Joseph responded. Now let's pause on that one for just a moment. We're going to be wrapping this up in just a little bit, y'all. I'm not going to read the entire chapter because this is a long chapter. But let's just think about that for just a moment. Let's settle for a moment on this. Look at all what Joseph went through, right? His brothers turning on him, selling him being sold to some guy in Egypt, the woman lying on him. He ended up going to jail. While he's in jail, he's helping somebody out. All he's saying is just remember me, right? The guy gets out for 2 years. You know how long 2 years is? That's 24 months. That's a long time to forget about somebody that just helped you, right? So think about all of these things that was going on. And then think about that same person coming back to you about 2 years later saying, I got a favor to ask. This person over here that I report to, he's looking for somebody to help interpret his dreams. And my bad, I forgot about you all those years, but I need your help. I already told him that you're good, you know your stuff. Can you please help him? Imagine the attitude that Joseph could have had. And I want you all to think about this for just a moment before we wrap this up. Thanks for putting that in, Tasha. I want you all to think about this for a moment. We're talking about the story of Joseph, but I want you all to be thinking about your story and what you may be going through right now. And it may not be this extreme. I pray to God it's not. Let me just say that. But this is when we all have to sit and say, what can I draw from this that's relatable to my life and my seasons and what I'm going through right now? What can I look at in Joseph's story and draw from that? That's why this morning, and I told you all I've been up since 4 something this morning, I just want to sit in God's presence, revisit the scenes, the stories, the seasons that I go through in life, even the season I'm in now, right? And have God show me what he wants me to do in these seasons so that I don't get caught up in the circumstances. So let's see how Joseph responded when once again they needed his help. Thanks for writing that in there, Aunt Tasha. When asked to interpret his dream, Joseph agreed to help him, and in complete humility, Joseph said, and I quote, I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. And that's Genesis 41, verse 16. Can you all put that in the comment? Genesis 41, verse 16. After he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, Pharaoh said, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. And that's Genesis 41, verse 39 through 41. Can one of you all write that in the comment real quick? Genesis 41, verse 39 through 41. Octavia, can you put that in there? I see you put the last one in there. I'll say it again. Genesis 41, verse 39 through 41. He says, I'll put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. This has to be a Selah moment. We have to take a moment to pause and just let that soak in. I'm going to take a moment and pause with you all on this. Do you all see every single situation and thing that Joseph went through to get him? Thank you, Anika. Thank you, J7. Thank you. Thank you, Octavia. Do you all see what happened in this? Do you all see that transition and all of that stuff that Joseph went through? And he was positioned just in the right spot at the right moment. And all of a sudden, Pharaoh, whoever this man was, had a dream and needed his expertise. I want you all to be thinking right now about yourselves. Let's put the focus on you all for a moment, because I'm not going to read too much more through this, because there's a whole lot more that happened. You know, his brothers basically came around and was like, you know, needing food and needing some of everything. And we may talk about that in a minute if we have a little bit of time. But let me pause, especially for those of you who have to leave pretty soon. I want you all to just be thinking right now. Are you all aware that right now, even in this season, Kamala says similar to Daniel, are you all aware that even in this season, God could be orchestrating and doing some things in the background right now, right this very moment, you don't even know about? You can't even plan it on your best day if you was trying to plan it out. You don't even know what he's doing. Do you see how Joseph was being prepared for that moment? Through every single thing he went through, the Lord was still with him. And at just the right time, God rose him up. And that's my prayer for you all. I pray that you have a suddenly in your life. I pray that you have a suddenly. I pray that sooner than you even realize, all of a sudden you're being called for. Someone is calling your name. Someone is trying to get a hold of you because you're the answer to their solution. Someone needs you or your product or your service or whatever it is that God has anointed you to be a gift to the world. I pray that you have a suddenly in your life. I pray every single person on this live right now that's watching, I pray by the grace of God that you have a suddenly in your life, that all of a sudden you begin to see how the pieces are beginning to come together and how all along God was with you and he was refining you and getting you ready. You all, I could not be live right now doing what I'm doing and talking in the way that I'm talking and reading from this book, had I not listened very carefully, had God not positioned me and allowed me to go through all those painful, difficult seasons in life. First of all, I wouldn't care enough to do this. Second of all, I would be too concerned with how I look and what other people think about me than to be on here spreading my business and talking about tough times and this and that, right? Third of all, I would be consumed with some other things. You get my point? God positioned me. He had to humble my little butt. I didn't even know that I was prideful, to be honest with you. He had to take me through those seasons. He had to mature me. Some friends had to betray me. I had to realize that not everybody can go with me into the next season. He had to allow me to have those moments where he brought me down to almost nothing so that I can see his power and how he's able to raise me up. Reminds me of the story of Gideon in Judges chapter 6 and 7. I'm going to try my best not to turn to it, because everything in me wants to turn to it real quickly and teach you all that. Judges 6 and 7 in Gideon, when God brought his army down to nothing. Like, I can't even let you win this battle that you're going through until I take it all away. Just about all of it. I can't even let you win it because you're going to think you got there by your own strength. It's beautiful the way that God works. And that's why sometimes I tell him, and you all, I miss my son. I miss him every day. There are some seasons that we go through in life, you all, and it just may not make sense at all. And I need you all to get out of the mindset of thinking that you've done something wrong. I need you to stop that thinking right now. because that's a tool that the enemy uses really, really, really well when you're going through tough seasons back to back to back. There are some seasons we go through in life, you all, it literally makes no sense whatsoever. You can't even make sense of it. Can you imagine? Just as you're doing your best to pour your heart out into what God is calling you to do. Like when God had me write It Necessary, waking me up in the middle of the night, telling me to write this and write that and write this. And I'm like, God, I don't even want to write about that. That's embarrassing. Some chapters I can't even read to you all, you know, from abuse and things I went through when I was younger, and the beatings and just so many things that I can't even have a book club meeting about it online because it's just that intense, right? And just, can you imagine going through all of this and just allowing yourself to be purged, and you're giving everything over to God? And can you imagine you're still facing seasons in life where the answer is a no? And that's what Joseph was going through, you all. This is why I love his story. That's why I love Gideon, the story of Gideon. I love reading about Gideon. Gideon saw himself as the least. He saw his tribe as the least. He even said to the angel, when the angel came to him and called him a mighty warrior, he's like, who are you talking to? If God was with us, then why has all this happened to us? You all, this is consistent throughout the Bible. It's consistent. And for those of you who have been going through back to back to back seasons of difficulty, or perhaps you're facing some hard challenges now, it does not mean that you've done something wrong. Sometimes, you all listen to me, and I'm not preaching to anyone. I'm not a preacher. I'm a woman that loves God, but I'm not a licensed minister. I know my followers get upset when I say that, but I'm not a licensed minister. I just love God, and I'm doing my best to help you all. But sometimes, the things that you go through, and I know this may step on some toes, sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Caribbean. Sometimes the seasons that you go through, or circumstances that happen in life. Someone says, and people wonder why I react so genuinely to this queen. Thank you, Caribbean. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. You all the things that God allowed me to go through actually had very little to do with me. You all don't get to see the thousands of messages we get sometimes on a daily basis. We definitely get thousands of messages a week for sure, but sometimes on a daily basis. The thousands of messages that we get. Hang on a second here, you all. Something happened with the connection. Oh, I'm so sorry. My Instagram followers. Hello, I hope you all can still see me. Something happened with the connection. But you all don't see the thousands of messages that we get sometimes on a daily basis from people from all around the world. You all hang on one second. I'm going to turn this Wi-Fi off and see if that'll help with the Instagram, because I think we lost them. I hope we didn't lose them. Anyway, it's trying to reload the page, so hopefully it'll do it. But we get messages in all the time from people who have said, some of the messages I can't even repeat. And they look at your story, they look at what you've gone through, and they look at how God has delivered you. And they say, my goodness, thank you for being the example for me to follow. Thank you for, I had one lady who said, she said, Z, I lost my son. Hang on a second here, you guys. I'm trying to get the internet back up for Instagram. I feel bad that I lost him. Hang on, Instagram. I'm trying to come back to you. Well, I have to just allow God to do what he's doing. Hopefully it'll come back for them. But anyway, we get Instagram followers. I'm sorry about that. The internet went out, but hopefully it's back. But we get thousands of messages in all the time. And sometimes you just have no idea that it really has little to do with you. And it has more so to do with how is God going to use you and use that situation in your life for his glory? How is he going to turn around and use it for his? Hi, you guys. I see you're back. I'm sorry about that. I realize that I lost you all. Hopefully you all can see me. Just let me know in the comment section. We're going to be closing out in a minute, but let me know in the comment section if you all can still see me, because the live went out and it looks like it's frozen. So I don't know if you all can see me or not on Instagram. I apologize. You can go to my YouTube. You can go to my Facebook. You can go to my Instagram if you all can't see me. So just hang on one second here. This is nothing but the enemy trying not to let this message come through for others to hear. Hang on one second. I'm going to try one more time on Instagram, and if it doesn't work this time, I'll just stop it. Okay, it says it's reconnecting. So Instagram followers, I apologize. Something happened with the connection. I think it's spiritual, to be honest. I think it's probably one person on Instagram that needed to hear what I was trying to say. My whole point is that many times it has nothing to do with us. And so when you think about in the story of Joseph, let's kind of get back to what we were reading. We're reading Strange Favor from my book, Necessary. When you think about with Joseph, does anyone know what this had to do with Joseph? Anyone want to know what happened after he became second in command? Does anyone know what happened after that? You all let me know what happened after that. Charisma says, God allowed you to go through all those pains in order to help us that is going through the same things in life. I believe you wholeheartedly, 1,000%. If you was able to see the amount of messages we get in from people from all around the world, I believe that wholeheartedly. And that was, and Charisma was funny about it. I didn't think I had anything to give. And I talked about that in one of my chapters, especially after my son passed away. When I was saying to Jesus, I had this experience in the spirit. I won't go through it now. But I was saying, how is it that you want me to share my life and my story with others when I'm barely hanging on myself? Like, make it make sense. How in the world can that help anyone? And Jesus showed me a vision in the spirit of people coming out of their dark corners and people being attracted to the light that they saw inside of me. But at the time, I was feeling like I have nothing to give. So thank you for saying that. All right, Instagram followers, I see you all back. What happened with Joseph after this situation? So after he became second in command, we're going to be wrapping this meeting up, you guys. We're going to bring it to a close. But what happened with Joseph? What was this really all about? Did anyone know what happened next? Someone said, Josephine said, he rescued a whole nation. Josephine, I'm hugging you through the phone. I'm giving you the biggest hug right now. I love the way you worded that. He ended up rescuing a whole nation. So you all, let's just take one moment to think on that. Hold on, you guys, I'm still crying. Let's just take one moment to pause. I need you all to think about yourselves right now for one moment. Think about you. And especially for those of you who are going through some things, think about you right now. Think about when things started to get heated and started to get hot in your life. Think about that for a moment. Think about when things started to go left field. I have a question I'm going to ask you that's probably going to really get you to thinking. So everybody think for a moment about, when did things sort of start going left field for me? Everybody got that thought in their head now? Here's my question. What were you doing right before things started going left field? What decision had you just made? I want to see your comments. You all are going to be surprised by what people are about to say. So think about when things started going left field. If you don't know what I mean by left field, I forgot, not everybody understands that type of language. When things started going wrong, right? Or, arrows start being thrown at you. Think about that moment, and I want you to think about, what decision had you made right before that happened? Or what exactly had you set out to do right before that happened? Someone said they set out to serve the Lord. Someone says they had just set out to surrender. What else? What decision, are you all following what I'm asking? What decision did you make, or what were you setting out to do before all those flaming arrows began to come your way and you began to go through all those difficult moments? Blossom says to let go of things that hinder me. What else? What decisions had you made? Joseph's life transformation rescued a whole nation. His brother, now knowing him, God planned for Joseph were greater than his own. Joseph became the early father of Jesus. Oh, you don't went way ahead of me, Charisma. I love that. Someone says leaving an abusive situation and moving on my own. Someone says let go of everything that hindered me. What decision did you make right before things started to go left field, before things started to happen? Just handled everything to God. So you all see the point that I'm trying to make in this. Someone says I had just decided to give my heart to the Lord. Mio says, I had just realized how God sees me after asking him, and I felt free. Then the hard devastation came. Oh, I'm about to talk to you. Someone says, had just started praising God. Someone says, I had just started a Christian karaoke show in person. It was starting to get popular. Wow, that sounds amazing. Another person, Josephine, says, I wanted to go into ministry. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some people say it was always hard for me. Mm-hmm. There must be a really strong calling on you, Dion, to say that. Mm-hmm. So do you all see the correlation, what's going on here? Someone says they had just decided to trust God more. Priscilla says, when I had just decided to surrender everything over. Let me explain something to you all that you all don't know. I get the advantage of going live every now and then like I am now, right? And I'm talking to people from all around the world. I'm live on all my platforms right now, I believe, TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of them, right? I get to see the thousands of emails that come in and all the DMs we get every single day. I get to see all of that. You all may not get to see what I see, which is that the tricks that the enemy uses is one and the same. Do you all see how everyone on here had just said? Someone says, as soon as I try to elevate the problems, I begin to bring them down. Mm-hmm. Someone says they had just decided to give it all to the Lord. Are you all picking up what I'm laying down? Are you all catching what everyone is saying? Someone else just put a comment in that many of the people that he rescued was meant for bad, but it turned out to be a heart of forgiveness. Are you all catching what I'm saying? The moment you set your sights on getting in that alignment. That's why this morning when I was got up at 4 something in the morning, and I just did not want to get out of that space of just sitting with God. And then it was 5 something in the morning, then it was 6 something, it was 7 something. I kept telling God, slow this time down because I love spending time with you and getting in alignment. The moment you decide to get in alignment, the moment you decide to start that ministry, start that business, surrender it all over to God, start doing what's right. You know what? Let me stop doing all of these, whatever it is you out there have your butt doing, you shouldn't be doing. We all have done some mess we shouldn't have been doing. But you get my point? The moment you did that, all of those flaming arrows and things begin to come your way. Now, here's what's going to really throw you. Many times we give a lot of credit of that to the enemy. And I do believe that the enemy works, but I also believe God can use that. God is a jealous God. And he will do wherever it takes to get you back in alignment with his will for your life. Joseph was so beautiful about this story of Joseph. It really wasn't about him, you all. And I love the way, I think it was Josephine or somebody put it. She said he saved a whole nation. If you go on to read a little bit more, and I'm going to be closing out this meeting because we're already at our hour just about. But if you go on to read a little bit more, if you read Genesis 42 through 44, you'll know that there was a severe famine in the land. And that famine lasted for 7 years. The very people that turned against Joseph and that used him and that sold him into slavery were the very people that came to him and needed his help. They were the very people. And thank God for Joseph's love. Thank God for Joseph's humility. You all, if you look at the underlying layer in the Bible, God is teaching us something through it. This really is not even just about the story of Joseph. It's about us. So we go through our mess in life. Are you going to allow it to make you bitter? Are you going to be upset? Right? Are you going to allow it to make you hate people? You get my point? Joseph could have very easily went off on his brothers. But he turned around, he loved them, he gave to them. He ended up saving a whole nation. So that entire time with everything that Joseph was going through, and you all, I'm sorry I don't have time to read through it all because I got a meeting that's supposed to start at about 12, and I'll tell you all about this meeting in a minute. But that very, very, very moment when Joseph was needed, he could have very easily turned around and said, you got to be kidding me. You did all these things to me, and you think I'm going to turn around and help you? But Joseph responded in humility and in love. And God saved a nation through that man. So the question I have for you all, my dear beautiful brothers and sisters, can you imagine what God may be trying to do in your life right now? Is it possible that some of the things that you're going through right now in life, is it possible? And I'm only asking the question. Is it possible? It's not because you've done something wrong. And yeah, there's times we need to repent, that's for sure. Is it possible? You didn't fail. Is it possible that God's repositioning you? Is it possible because he loves you? He's got to allow you to finish going through this season because he sees what's on the other side. He sees the person you're going to become as a result of it. Is it possible? He's working on your character a little bit. Because with where he's about to take you and the impact that you're going to have in this world, and I really do believe some of you on this live right now, you all have a tremendous calling on your life, or you wouldn't even be watching me for this long. God's got you here for a reason. Is it possible he's got to get you ready? There's no way in the universe God could have given me this amount of influence and impact in the world. We're well over, I don't even want to say the numbers now. Let's just say it's way up there. I was going to say the numbers, but huge amount of people all around the world follow the podcast and listen to the social media channels and the lives and this and that. There's no way in the world God could have even began to trust me, someone like me, to have that kind of influence and impact without allowing me to go through what I went through. First of all, my pride would have messed me up tremendously. All the things I was involved in. If you all have read my book, Necessary, I'm very open about some of the things that I've dealt with in my past. I talked about gambling. People didn't know I was going to casinos and gambling and getting all caught up in that to a point where I felt like I couldn't stop going. You may say, whoa, you got to be kidding, Z. You mean you did that? Yes, I did. That was a part of my past. Thought I couldn't let it go. I had all types of things I've talked about. Some things God had me write in here. I'm just like, I'm not going to write about that. There's no way. What are people going to think about me if I'm putting all these things in it? And God made it very clear to me when he began waking my butt up in the middle of the night, night after night, waking me up at 3 a.m. He's like, now you're going to go write about that season. I'm like, God, I don't know. I don't want people to know that I was struggling with gambling. It's like, it's not about you. You're not a part of this. This is about the people that's going to be rescued as a result of this. And I sat there and started writing about some things I went through in my youth that not even my family members knew. All types of things. My marriage, my finance, you name it. It was as if and that's why I start the book off just saying I laid myself before the world. I'm just stripped bare. Is it possible that God is simply positioning you, my brothers and sisters? Is it possible that he's just got to shape you just a little bit more to get you ready for where you're about to go? And I already know it may not feel like it. Thank you, Mai. I already know it may not feel like it, especially for some of you all who've going through some tremendous difficult things right now in life. And maybe life is just great for you, but you just don't know your next stage. You don't know how to dream again. You don't know what your purpose is, whatever it is you're going through. I got a good friend of mine. She always tells me, Z, is all relative. But whatever it is that you're going through, is it possible? I just want you all to entertain the possibility, okay? Is it possible that God is getting you ready for something you can't even fathom? And there are some of you, I feel this so heavily right now. You all have such a grace and an anointing over your life to reach and impact millions of people all around the world. But God has to get you positioned and get you ready. And I already know that it feels like pressure, at times punishment, at times, God, where are you at? I get it. I'm giving, and when am I going to be given back to? But is it possible? He's doing a really amazing refinement right now, because with where you're going, think about Joseph. Thank you, Mai. Think about Joseph really quickly again. Look how God had to prepare him before he got him to that position. Do you all realize when Joseph started off, he was basically bragging to his brothers about how powerful he was going to be and how he was going to be over them and they was going to be bowing down before him and this and that. See, I didn't go through that in the beginning of reading this, but Joseph was kind of cocky in the beginning. Can you imagine if God would have taken that version of him and boom, put him in that position where he's second in command over nations? Can you imagine the damage that would have done? Is anybody picking this up? I'm about to end this live, but I want you guys to grab this. Can you imagine the damage that would have been done if he would have taken Joseph from that moment of bragging and telling his brothers how they're going to be bowing down and this and that, right? Because Joseph wasn't all innocent in it, right? Can you imagine the damage that would have been done if God would have, I love him so much, let me just take him from here and just put him here. Oh my God, no. So God had lovingly, I don't know why I'm crying, lovingly guide him, lovingly allow him to go through the seasons, even when he didn't understand it, even when it was hard, even when it made no sense, even when he was giving, even when he was being lied upon. And at each stage, I just can't help but see the unfolding of Joseph's character, the humility in him, being humble. And when at just the right timing, then God was able to elevate him to such a point to where he saved an entire nation. Could it be possible, my brothers and sisters, as I close this out, that God is doing a good thing in your life, but you just may not see it all right now? Kind of reminds me, I'll say this before I close out, of my children. All of my kids are adults now. And I think through some of the difficult times they've gone through, especially as adults. Oh my God, that's a whole nother subject. Nobody told me that after they turn 18, you still are a parent. Nobody wrote that in a book and told me parenting don't stop after 18. But I thought after 18, hey, is this the easy part now? And nobody told me, no, you still got to be a mother and be there for them. So I won't go into much detail, but I'll just say when we have 4 kids and they're all between their 20s and just about 30, but anyway, in that age range. But sometimes they go through things, and I have to just, as a good parent, just sit back and watch and allow them to mature and go through it. And it hurts me so bad at times. I don't want to see them, go through. But mama has to stand back and watch because I love them, and they have to get positioned and get ready. I'll never forget one of my sons, when he was younger, he was 18 years old and went and bought a brand new car, knowing he couldn't afford it. Didn't get any advice, just came home with a spanking brand new car in the driveway. We're like, what, are you kidding me? Who gonna pay that note? Right? And anyway, I won't make it all about them, but I'll fast forward to the end of that story. The end of that story was they ended up repossessing that car because he couldn't make the payments, right? You know how bad that hurt me to sit there and watch them come and pull that lever down and get his car and take it away? Hurt me so bad just to be able to see that, right? But at the same time, I had to allow him to go through what he needed to go through so that he can learn not only to budget well, but just so he can be a better steward. And his next car he got it and paid it off and did well and was totally responsible. But I had to allow him to go through it. Anyway, I digress. I love you all. For those of you who don't have Necessary, make sure you get your hands on a copy of it. You can get it on Amazon. I have about 21 copies, autographed copies left. So if you all want an autographed copy, you can go to unlockinggreatness.com and get an autographed copy. I only have 20 something left. We have our meetings on the 11th at 11 a.m. For those who want to join me, today is the day we officially open up the Unlocking Greatness community. We open it back up again. Many of you know, and you got to give me grace. I've had my entire mentorship closed down for has it been about 5 weeks now? I've had it closed down for a while, maybe almost 6 weeks now to think about it. And we just had a wait list on there. We didn't let any new people enter because there's times when you just have to get away and you have to get yourself filled so that when you show up, people can experience the overpour, if that makes any sense. So I know some of you all have been on the wait list, and I apologize that I've had you waiting to join, but we did just open it back up. I changed things up a little bit because as of today, by God's grace, we officially launched my consulting agency, which that's something that I didn't even think I'd ever do. Many of you all have asked to have a consultation, whether it's as a business owner or an entrepreneur. Many people don't know I've been in business over 30 years, or just for spiritual personal development. I never, ever, I don't think that I can think of, advertised or talked about having consultancy, being on a one-to-one or anything. And today's the first day that we are officially opening that back up as well. So for those of you who've been on a wait list, you're looking to get yourself into a good mentorship. You want to grow spiritually, personally, even in your business. I'm welcoming you all to Unlocking Greatness. You can go to unlockinggreatness.com and book your consult, and I can officially welcome you. Right now, the way I have it set up, I used to allow people just to come in and just go and sign up. I want to meet everybody. Right now, at least at this season, this stage, the reason I want to meet people is I want to get an idea of what area are you looking to grow in? What's been holding you up, whether it's in your business or what have you, personal life, spiritual growth. I want to have a one-on-one and get a chance to talk to you and meet you before I officially have you come into the whole mentorship program. And that's what we're setting up now. So if any of you all need help, if you're looking to grow, if you want to even grow in your businesses as well, we just opened it back up. So I'm having a meeting now. There should be a link on my website page now that's open up. It's a Zoom meeting. I'm having a meeting for the people that's been on the wait list. So if you've been on the wait list, and again, please accept my apologies. I know some of you all have been on the wait list for 5 or 6 weeks. Please accept my apologies. But I had to do it because I wanted some time away from me, and I wanted to make sure the people that are already members are well taken care of, and they are. I love them tremendously. So we just opened it back up. You can go to unlockinggreatness.com and join me. I'm about to have a meeting in less than 5 minutes now with all of the newer people. So you can go to unlockinggreatness.com and join me on a quick Zoom. And if you don't have time now, you're able to book your consult appointment. So that I can see how I can help you. I pray this has helped you all. I'm very grateful for what God has done, and I'm excited about this next chapter in life. And for the rest of you all, I'll see you on the 11th of the month at 11 a.m. for our next meeting. Let me see some last comments in here. I've got the meeting's supposed to start at like 12:15, but I'm going to jump in the meeting in just a minute. Let me see some comments. Elizabeth says, "We love you, Z. God bless you and your loved ones." Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you. Who is this? Nasai says, "Hello, I just picked up my phone to see you." Hey, Nasai. I'm actually wrapping up the meeting now, Nasai. I just did a book club meeting that I have on the 11th at 11 a.m. But Nasai, I do look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we have our next entrepreneurial meeting for the Inner Circle members. I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow, Nasai. Who is this? Miss K says, "Thank you, Z." Thank you, Miss K. I pray you got a lot out of this. I pray that this helped you. Octavia says, "Thank you." You're welcome. Caribbean says, "Praise the Almighty." Wanda says, "Thank you." You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I pray you guys have been encouraged. Go back and revisit that chapter again, you all. We just read the chapter on strange favor. For those of you who are just joining, I'm closing this live out in exactly, 2 minutes? 3 minutes. We just read from my book, Necessary. And we just read a little bit from the chapter Strange Favor. We didn't read the entire chapter because I didn't have time to read it all. But for those of you who are going to finish reading the chapter, make sure you go through those questions and things at the end of the chapter so that you can do a self-assessment. But we just read Strange Favor, which is chapter 6. And I'll be announcing what we'll read next time when we meet on the 11th again. So I pray that this has helped you all. I love you as well. Thank you, Octavia. Nasai, thank you so much for the gifts. Sweet Sonia says, "Thank you for a great morning, sis. Much appreciated." You are so incredibly welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I pray this has really helped you all. Powerful Bruce says, "Good preaching. God bless you." I'm not a preacher, but thank you for saying that. Thank you. Let me see. Does anyone have a suggestion on what they want the next chapter to be on that we read from? You all can let me know before I close this live out in exactly 2 minutes. Does anyone have an idea? Because I think I'm going to do it on chapter 15, The Price of Elevation. That's a very, very, very strong chapter. Not many people are willing to pay the price to go higher. And there's a price that we have to pay whenever we make the decision to elevate and to go higher in our walk with God. There's a very, very high price to pay. So I think I'm going to go over the price of elevation, but you all can let me know that. What did you say? Someone says about the book club. The next book club meeting is going to be on the 11th at 11 a.m. Unrestricted Praise says, "Thank God for your painful purpose journey. Super 67-year-old senior. My family's in a lot of trauma." Thank you so much for that, Unrestricted. I pray to God that things changes for you. And just so you know, we have many people in your age range that's inside of the Unlocking Greatness group, well, including myself. Many people don't know that, we're in the same age range just about. But I pray to see you one day in some of our live workshops. Someone says, "Having a good day, walking in purpose." Caribbean says, "God bless everyone here." I love you all so much. Just so you all are aware what we're doing in terms of having the mentorship and the consulting. The primary role is you all getting your vision adjusted. And what I mean by that is getting your perception adjusted to how you see God and how you see yourself. You all learning to dream again. Many people don't even know. I speak to so many people that don't even know the beginning of how do you start dreaming again and walking in purpose. The other point of it is learning how to walk in purpose. What is my calling? What am I really here to even be doing? And for the business owners, a lot of what they're learning is how do I align my business up with Bible-based principles? And what do I do at this stage in life, especially with AI and so many things happening right now? How do I stay relevant as a faith-based believer in God running a business? So those are some of the things we talk about in some of those consulting and some of those mentorship sessions that we have. And how do I let go of fear? How do I begin to have the breakthroughs in life that I've been yearning for so long, but I keep repeating the same cycles? So some of the things you're going to learn is how do I get out of these same patterns? Do I even know what pattern I'm in right now? That's a question I should have asked you all, but I don't have time to go into now. Do you even know what pattern you're following right now? Do you understand what stage in life you're at right now, and what do you do about that? So those are some of the things that I talk about in my mentoring and consulting sessions. So I'm going to run now. For those of you all who want to join, you can go to unlockinggreatness.com. And I'm about to go jump on a Zoom call right now and meet you all and answer whatever questions you may have. And I look forward to welcoming you all inside of some of the mentorship sessions. Josephine, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hope to see you in a minute. All right, bye, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Love you all. I pray you enjoyed the meeting. Bye-bye, you all. Thank you again, Caribbean, for all the encouraging words. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Okay, you guys, I got to get this closed out. Love you all. I'll see you in just a little bit. I'm getting ready to go start the Zoom call. Bye-bye.